I'm Sharon Tazwell. Here's your Spectrum News in 9. President Biden Wednesday faced a fresh wave of pressure to end his re-election campaign. Actor and Democratic donor George Clooney among those now calling for Biden to step aside. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signaled Democrats are still divided over the president's bid, saying time is running out for Democrats to make a decision. Meanwhile, the president's performance at the NATO summit this week is under close scrutiny as he seeks to prove he's fit for the job. The president addressed NATO leaders Wednesday, saying the U.S. is committed to keeping the alliance strong while working to defend every inch of NATO territory.
Today, we have to ask ourselves, what is next? How can we keep making the shield stronger? One answer must be to strengthen our industrial base.
The first witnesses in actor Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial took the stand. In opening statements, prosecutors accused Baldwin of playing, quote, make-believe with a real gun during the filming of Rust. The defense team says Baldwin did nothing wrong.
This was an unspeakable tragedy, but Alec Baldwin committed no crime. He was an actor acting, playing the role of Harlan Rust.
Those are your headlines. Now, here's your weather on the ones.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. I'm going to keep my eyes on the northeast here where the remnants of Beryl will continue to sweep across overnight. Thursday morning, I think all of that energy will be off the coast. Now we're going to be watching the Carolinas, the south and the southeast here. This is where we have some chances for some thunderstorms. Now during the morning hours of Thursday, this is how it'll be. We're looking at 60s and 70s for a big portion of the east. Then a lot of warm temperatures. The coolest in the 70s will be in upstate New York and Milwaukee.
How concerned are you about his chances in November?
I'm very concerned. It's going to be a close race. At this point, I think he has a strong campaign and a strong message to deliver.
Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election and maybe win it by a landslide. For me, this isn't a question about polling. It's not a question about politics. It's a moral question about the future of our country.
President Biden's political future facing new peril just months away from the November election. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Tazwell. Colorado's Michael Bennet is the first Democratic senator to publicly say he doesn't believe Biden is capable of winning re-election. And he's not the only one voicing concerns over the president's campaign. Actor and Democratic donor George Clooney called on the president to drop out, telling to move forward. Spectrum's Evan Kozloff is in Washington with a look at what the White House is doing to put any concerns to rest.
From coast to coast, among politicians and beyond, President Joe Biden is suffering new setbacks on Wednesday in his fight to remain atop the Democratic Party's ticket. In Washington, Representative Pat Ryan, who represents a swing district in New York's Hudson Valley, became the 8th sitting Democrat in Congress to call for Biden to drop out, writing Wednesday that Joe Biden is a patriot, but is no longer the best candidate to defeat Trump, adding, for the good of our country, I'm asking Joe Biden to step aside. And a similar message by powerhouse actor and Democratic Party donor George Clooney, who wrote in a New York Times op-ed that the Joe Biden he spent time with at a big Hollywood fundraiser just 3 weeks ago was, quote, the same man we all witnessed at the debate stage. Clooney writing, our party leaders need to stop telling us that 51 million people didn't see what we, his campaign, have been mounting an all-out blitz to stop the bleeding, writing a letter to congressional Democrats on Monday.
I have a neurological test every single day.
Calling into MSNBC's Morning Joe. And then on Tuesday, delivering a forceful address at a NATO summit in Washington.
If you are threatened, we are threatened. If you're not at peace, we cannot be at peace.
But Biden's efforts to save his campaign have done little to calm Democrats who are worried.
Thank you very much.
Not only about a Trump victory, but also Republicans winning complete control of Congress. On Wednesday morning, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi raised eyebrows on the Morning Joe show, withholding a full-throated endorsement of the president and suggesting that his candidacy was still an open question.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run.
Evan Kozloff joins us now from Washington. Evan, we've seen the slow trickle of Democrats calling on him to drop out. What are Democrats come forward in the coming days?
Well, what we've heard over and over from Democratic lawmakers is that they want President Biden to put himself out there at public events to show that he's up for the job. And look, this is going to be a really crucial week for Biden. On Thursday afternoon, he'll be wrapping up the big NATO summit in Washington with a solo press conference. Notably, he will not have a prompter for that, and he'll need to answer questions off the cuff, something he struggled with mightily during that debate. And Sharon, it's clear that the Biden campaign is looking past this upcoming week. They just announced that Biden will be sitting down for a big interview with NBC News on Monday night.
Very interesting. All right, Evan Kozloff in Washington. Thanks. Meanwhile, the president is facing a major test on the global stage as the 75th annual NATO summit continues in Washington. Biden says the U.S. is committed to keeping the alliance strong. And Spectrum's Daniel Grimes reports in Washington military aid to Ukraine.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken told the NATO summit Wednesday that U.S.-manufactured F-16 fighter jets are on their way to Ukraine to help in its fight against Russia. Blinken also said Ukraine is on a, quote, irreversible path to NATO membership after its war with Russia ends.
The first time NATO's had a dedicated command to helping an aspiring country join the alliance. And that has very practical components to it that will, I think, speed Ukraine's accession to the alliance.
Ukraine has long sought the advanced F-16 aircraft. President Joe Biden agreed last year to provide them to Kyiv after Ukrainian pilots had been trained to fly them. The planes are being transferred from Denmark and the Netherlands to NATO members. Now, Blinken's announcement came the morning after Biden revealed the U.S. and several NATO allies will send Ukraine dozens of air defense systems that Ukrainian officials have been asking for.
And we know Putin won't stop at Ukraine. But make no mistake, can and will stop Putin.
The commitment comes as Russia continues its relentless attacks on Ukraine, including the bombing of a children's hospital in Kyiv on Monday that killed at least 42 people. Ukraine's president said his nation's ability to defeat Russia rests in Washington.
How much longer can Putin last? The answer to this question is right here in Washington. Your leadership, your actions, your choice, the choice to act now.
Although Blinken and several officials of NATO nations all said Ukraine was on an irreversible path toward NATO membership, they did not lay out a timeline for that to happen. Russian President Vladimir Putin has bitterly opposed Ukraine joining the alliance, seeing such a move as a threat to his country. In Washington, Daniel Grimes, Spectrum News.
Witness testimony is underway in the involuntary manslaughter trial of actor Alec Baldwin. Baldwin faces charges following the fatal shooting of a cinematographer. Washington News anchor Carla Reddit has the key takeaways from court Wednesday.
Opening statements began Wednesday in actor Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial. It comes nearly 3 years after the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the New Mexico set of the Rust film in 2021. Prosecutors say Baldwin was responsible via his negligence for her death.
He pointed the gun at another human being, cocked the hammer, and pulled that trigger in reckless disregard for Miss Hutchins' safety.
The defense claims it was an unspeakable tragedy. They say Baldwin did not commit a crime. They argue he was simply an actor acting.
An actor playing a character can act in ways that are lethal, that just aren't lethal on a movie set. These cardinal rules, they're not cardinal rules on a movie set.
Baldwin, he did not pull the trigger after he discharged a prop gun on the set. The prosecution called a law enforcement officer to the stand who was the first to arrive at the shooting. His body cam footage was played in court, showing his efforts to save Hutchins after she was shot. If convicted, Baldwin faces up to 18 months in prison. Carla Reddit, Spectrum News.
Regaining trust, how the Uvalde Police Department is working to mend things with the community following its catastrophic response to the Uvalde school shooting. That's just ahead right here on Spectrum News.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation, with balanced depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams.
My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree. That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most to you.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
We're still feeling the impacts of what was Hurricane Beryl. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. The remnant low now from that system will continue to move into Canada here. So that's going to be all the way through Thursday afternoon. But upstate New York, the rest of the New England states will continue to feel some of those impacts overnight. So Wednesday night into the early morning hours of Thursday. And then it's going to be pretty much out of here. We'll get some scattered showers. That's about it. We'll be watching then farther to the south in the Carolinas, where there will be some pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoon, even down towards Florida. There is a disturbance here we're keeping an eye on. 10% chance of developing into anything there. And even across the Gulf, you could see some of those scattered thunderstorms during the day on Thursday. And some of that even out towards the southwest, some of the monsoon moisture there. Okay, so looking across, the severe weather was enhanced. The chance of that, the enhanced chance right across the Northeast because of the remnants of Beryl, even decreasing even more for your Thursday. Now, Bangor, Maine, over the next 3 days, you do have some rain in the forecast. Again, because of what's left Thursday, at least in the early morning hours, we'll have some thunderstorms. And then 80s and drier weather for Friday. And some showers in the mix again come Saturday. Weekend knocking at our door. Charlotte, North Carolina, 90s. And as a result of some of that rain coming in on Friday and thunderstorm chances, your temperatures come down a little bit, then back up into the 90s on Saturday with some drier weather. 3-day forecast for you in Charleston, South Carolina, 90s Thursday, then thunderstorm chances increasing on Friday with 80s there, and then back up with the chance of some thunderstorms, a slight chance there, low 90s for your temperatures. And in Houston, all in the 80s here with thunderstorm chances pretty much all 3 days. Now, from July 17th to the 23rd, this is the precipitation outlook. You can see the eastern half of the country. The best chance we see here, the darker the green, the higher the confidence that there will be a wetter than average outlook.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. President Biden facing more pressure to drop out of the 2024 election. The latest call for his withdrawal stems from actor and Democratic donor George Clooney. President Biden reaffirming U.S. commitment to NATO Wednesday, saying the alliance must work to defend every inch of NATO territory. Opening statements began Wednesday in Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial, shown in court body cam footage from a police officer, the first to arrive at the shooting on the Rust film set. That's what you need to know this evening. Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduces articles of impeachment against Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito for their conduct. The New York lawmaker accuses both justices of indisclosure forms. Both denied violating the ethics and financial disclosure protocols. Ocasio-Cortez also accused Thomas of refusing to recuse himself in cases involving his wife's financial and legal interests. Meantime, she accused Alito of failing to recuse himself from certain cases of which he had a conflict of interest. The effort is expected to fail in the Republican-led House. 2 years after the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, a couple of police officers are working to restore trust in the Uvalde Police Department. Spectrum's Brian Bose recently spoke to them about their mission.
304 Uvalde today.
Homer Delgado, Chief, Uvalde PD.
April 6th was the day that I assumed the role of Chief of Police.
Mike Davis, Assistant Chief, Uvalde PD.
When Chief Delgado came over here, I knew why. I was like, man, I'm here to help.
Both of them had already helped, of course, just days after the Robb Elementary School shooting. That time here left its mark on each of them.
I've been coming back here a lot. I brought my family up here. We stop at Robb. I say a prayer.
I think a lot of us left our emotions and our heart here.
2 years after the tragedy that left this town in shambles, these career lawmen are now in charge of its police department, and they share a common goal.
This community has earned the right to be the safest community in the nation.
But their devotion to the city isn't all they share.
Right now we're working together. We spend, 8 to 10 hours a day together. Then we go home together.
Rather than at least 3 nights a week, they share this tiny room.
They're two twins.
And they're two twins.
At the Uvalde EMS building, a small yet large commitment.
We're here for as long as they'll have us. As long as they feel we're doing the right thing and going the right direction, we'll be happy to stay.
From ties on nails, an annoying blinking bulb, and teasing from the resident firefighters.
And they gave us a little welcome note. Said, "Welcome to Uvalde, Cuddle Buddies."
There's humor in this living situation. But the overall situation they've taken on is anything but humorous. And they know there's still hard questions they have to answer.
People still want answers. They still want answers from your police officers. Everybody that was here, will they be held accountable?
If it's within our authority, we're going to hold people accountable. They're still here because illegally we keep them here because they weren't found culpable for, and I understand that.
They know they'll never have the right answers, but they're here, sacrificing, not to make things right, just to make things better.
There were failures, and we are here to make sure that never happens again.
In Uvalde, Brian Bose, Spectrum News.
A Paralympian and the miracle meeting that saved him. Coming up on Spectrum News, how his sport turned the tables to change his life.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad? Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
We continue to see 48. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos out east once again. We've got some heat-related advisories. The yellow is indicating some of the tornado advisories for the day on Wednesday as the remnants of Beryl were moving across, and the green showing some flooding concerns there. And then out west, we still see all of these heat-related advisories, but the difference is we don't see it right across the coastal areas of parts of the Pacific Northwest. It was all red there. Remember when Portland and Seattle were getting really hot as well. It's mainly inland there, but all up and down the state of California and also all of Nevada. So a big portion basically of the Southwest, where those temperatures will once again on Thursday get back up into the triple digits, like in Las Vegas, 118 for a high there, Salt Lake City 105, Boise 106. Bakersfield in California and Sacramento, triple digits returning there. And then down in Palm Springs, 120 degrees. So here's all across the lower 48 where we're seeing the warmer than average temperatures, 12 to 14 degrees basically out west. To the east, in Boston, for instance, 10 degrees above average, because I'm forecasting there for Thursday, 89 degrees. New York, right around 91 degrees. And so Florida, Texas, just because of some of that pop-up thunderstorms, you know, get some cloud cover. It helps to bring the temperatures down a little bit, whereas here it's going to be completely sunny. We've got an area of high pressure really dominating this region here. So that's why the temperatures are going up. Yes, it's typically in the triple digits there in the deserts, like in Las Vegas and Phoenix, but certainly not that high. It is warmer than average. There's that ridge that I'm talking about. That's just been the dominant feature for much of the week. And then also out east, that's why we're above average there as well. Now, as we look at the next 7 days, here's a look at Boston, Massachusetts. Your average is about 82 degrees. Now, you'll be above that Thursday, Friday. You get right to average on Saturday, and then slowly climbing back up. But we're talking about the low 90s. Glad it's not any hotter than that. San Antonio, Texas, 94 is your average. You're below that weekend. It'll be hot, but below average. And then we slowly climb up to the upper 90s come Tuesday and Wednesday. Las Vegas, Nevada, the above average temperatures are here to stay. 105 is the average, and you can see over the next 7 days, with the hottest days being Thursday, Friday. But you see the gradual drop in temperatures there. And in Portland, Oregon, where there were some triple digits, no triple digits for the next 7, 80s and 90s, but still above the average of 81.
Take a look at the official gymnastics uniforms that Team USA will be wearing in the Paris Summer Olympics. The women's team will sport 8 Olympic leotards featuring a variety of designs, and that includes Swarovski crystals in red, white, and blue. Well, the design team says the leotards are inspired by high fashion and art, paying homage to Paris while wearing the story. As we approach the Summer Olympics in Paris, there's one Paralympian who has made a name for himself on the global stage. Spectrum News anchor Marilee Melendez introduces us to this table tennis star in this week's Beyond the Sports.
Table tennis, also known as ping pong to many of us, is popular around the world with an estimated 300 million active players. It's also an Olympic sport and has been a part of the Olympic program since 1988. For one New Yorker, it helped him through a difficult medical diagnosis and has become much more than a game. Eric Feldman has the story.
On a Friday night in Port Washington, after the restaurants have closed, as most of the town heads to sleep, there's the constant pop at the Gold Coast Table Tennis center of Tal Leibovitz's world. He would have never thought 30 years ago it would be the sport that changed his life. Leibovitz grew up in Queens, a childhood he says was not easy.
I think the grade I finished was the 6th.
He says he never fit in and life at home was no better. So at 14, he went to live on the streets.
I slept on rooftops, I slept on beaches, anywhere I could.
Usually, his bed was on an E-train.
It's so difficult where you are, so all you have to do look forward is like having some meaning and some purpose.
And it came from somewhere few would expect, the Boys and Girls Club in Ozone Park, where he was introduced to table tennis.
It's so enjoyable. There's a chess component to it.
It's all he would look forward to from the moment he woke up until 3 p.m. when the center opened.
They had a tournament on Saturday, and they had a tournament on Sunday, so I had nowhere to sleep, so I would go to the Saturday tournament, and I would just sleep outside, and then I would go and play the Sunday tournament.
As he got better, Leibovitz realized there were things he could.
My right hand, I can't turn at all.
He's the one in 5 million people with a condition called osteochondroma, which means he has benign tumors all over his body.
They're very painful, especially in my spine. I have 2 in my back, one in the low and one in the middle, and they're about this big.
But when he was playing one day, he had a coach approach him with a simple question.
And I was asked to participate or join the Paralympic table tennis team.
Leibovitz started competing internationally, and in 1996, he made the Paralympic U.S. table tennis team. And there, Tal Leibovitz, still living on the E-train, won the gold.
You know, it stays with you for a long time. Oh boy, 7-2.
Back in Port Washington, the clock may have already struck midnight.
Ooh, 2-8.
But the ball continues to fly across the table.
I really wanted to be a champion, you know, so I really focused on that so much.
Table tennis turned the tables on Tal Leibovitz's life, and he's not done yet.
Okay, good match.
Eric Feldman, Spectrum.
He's gone to every Paralympic Games since 1996, collecting countless medals along the way. For Spectrum News, I'm Mary Lee Melendez.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for watching. Our Spectrum News at Night is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices. Plus, it's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories, connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. Structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.